My name is Seth Flint, and I had originally heard about Tip Top Canine through my old pastors who I worked for. They trained their Great Pyrenees with Ryan and Tip Top Canine. They did a phenomenal job and became really good friends with Ryan and Rachel. I was working at a local church, and it was a great experience. I ended up leaving there and working with Ryan and Tip Top Canine. The biggest thing that I really enjoy about being self-employed is that I can create my own schedule. I have the ability to spend more time with my family, my wife, and my daughter. So my very favorite thing about training dogs with Tip Top Canine is that I get to work with the people. Obviously, I love working with dogs, but it's just so rewarding to be able to train a dog that had serious issues, whether it's behavioral or whatever, and seeing a transformation, taking that dog home, and mom and dad are literally in tears because of how happy they are with the training. If somebody is interested, I'd say don't hesitate. Make sure you like dogs. Make sure that you enjoy working with people because we're not just dog trainers. We are customer service people that help dogs, and so definitely don't hesitate. Just come in and ask questions. Ask all the questions you have.
Good boy, Rody. Good boy. Look, that's Clay. You want to say something to Clay? Bark. Bark. Oh, that's Clay. That's Clay right there.
Wow.
Oh, okay, see?
Whoa. All right, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're going to have a conversation with somebody who happens to be a male who my wife listens to more than me. What? So today's guest is the host of his own show, the Health Ranger Report, the Health Ranger Show. His name's Mike Adams, and Mike Adams is somebody that my wife enjoys listening to Mike Adams broadcast. And because my wife is a cheer mom, constantly driving kids from to and fro, she consumes his content at a rate that I perceive to be almost unhealthy. However, what he says is accurate, honest, and it's been a great thing for our family. All the kids in our family, we have 5 kids, they all love listening to Mike Adams because he shares the news of the day, as awful as it may be, from an honest perspective with a little side of humor so we can get through it without crying. And without any further ado, Mike Adams, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Clay. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's always great to join you. We always have a lot of fun, and say hi to your wife as well. I'm glad she's a listener. I'm glad I'm helping to fill those transportation gaps there when she's driving to and fro.
Mike, the questions are going to start off kind of light, and they're going to get more heavy as we go. Okay, so for question number 1, you're in your new studio now. You have the new mic windscreen thing. I know you have developed a relationship with Tip Top Canine, the dog training franchise I work with. Is that was that wind filter? Was that screen made from a dog?
No, but he did try to eat it last week, and he's right over here. He's hanging out. You want to see him?
Is he here? Your dog?
On?
Yeah, I mean, are you allowed to show your dog on the show? Is that okay? Are we?
Yeah, as long as you don't mind seeing his backside. I think he likes to jump up here. You want me to do it? How
big of a dog are we talking about? Is this like a 4-pounder?
He's a large Belgian Malinois, but I can bring him around where he doesn't jump up. Hey, Rody, come here, Rody, come here, come on.
We're bringing him. This is the kind of stuff you're not going to get on either show.
He is.
Oh wow!
See? Yeah, here he is. Good boy, Rody. Good boy. Look, that's Clay. You want to say something to Clay? Bark. Bark. Oh, that's Clay. That's Clay right there. Wow. Oh, okay, see?
And the good folks at Tip Top Canine kind of helped mentor you into your dog training skill set. Am I correct? Is that right?
Yeah. That's right. No, I had all the full training with Rody, and he would have eaten you, Clay. If you were here in person, he would have just ripped an arm off. You got to be careful.
Okay, now we're going to move into the heavier stuff here. Now that we've covered that, I suppose I want to make sure from an animal cruelty perspective, you weren't using a part of a dog as a windscreen. Okay, so this first sound clip comes to us from Catherine Austin Fitz, and she says this about the central bank digital currencies. Here we go.
The BIS General Manager Augustine Karstens in October 2020, explaining that with CBDC, they will have central control to set the rules and enforce them centrally.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general to the general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
The nature of the CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. And it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
CBDC. If that happens, we're done.
So a question I have for you, Mike Adams, is do central bank digital currencies end freedom?
Absolutely. That's the whole point of it. And of course, they're going to make sure that in order to use these digital currencies, you have to have a social credit score, which means you won't be allowed to, ask questions about vaccines or ask questions about government or criticize the government in any way or criticize any government policies. And it's a mark of the beast system. And, you've covered this a lot. This is the end of freedom if this gets rolled out. And I think they're going to collapse the fiat currencies and then roll out CBDCs as the rescue option to say, oh, we got your back. Yeah, all your money is safe. All the money that you had in the bank that's now gone. Oh, guess what? It's waiting for you over here. All you have to do is, take on this mark and give us your iris scan, and then you can access all your money now in the central bank digital currency system, which will actually be a central government digital currency. So it should be called a CGDC, frankly. But anyway, yeah, end of freedom.
I think I'm more afraid of central bank digital currencies than I am afraid of the dog that the good folks at Tip Top Canine worked with you to help train. But the dog is also very, very terrifying as well. So we'll also got to sort that out emotionally as we go through the show. Now, this here today, folks, this comes from the Reese Report and from Maria Z. Maria Z is a great investigative journalist. The Reese Report, you'll see them on InfoWars. Listen to this report on the central bank digital currencies.
Manjabi has worked in Silicon Valley for 28 years. His background includes work on deep technologies that are involved in the new digital prison system being designed by big tech. In 2020, he moved to Montana and became a whistleblower, warning the public of the very real threat about to be unleashed upon us all, known by many as the Mark of the Beast system. Aman explains how accepting the digital ID is the basic premise behind it all.
So by default, a digital identity implies that you're always in a digital prison. Since you have a digital identity and you're in a prison, you are by default a criminal. So we don't trust you.
Just like the old system, this new one is also voluntary. And you are supposed to know that it's a digital prison that you are voluntarily signing up for. And the reason for this is because in this new system, having a digital ID will be proof that you are a criminal. Because having a digital ID means that you are in a digital prison. And because you accepted it, you must be a criminal.
Okay, Mike Adams, what is the Reese Report talking about? Maybe you don't know what he's talking about. Let me get your thoughts on what he just said there.
No, Greg Reese nailed it there as usual. What he's saying is that they're going to make an offer to surrender yourself to a digital prison system. And by the way, this is very similar to the mRNA offer. They never put a gun to anybody's head and told them to take the jab. They made an offer. They said it's an emergency. You can take it if you wish. And in fact, we'll make it free for you. If you accepted that offer, then they have no liability because you accepted the offer under the emergency status. Therefore, the drug companies have no liability under current federal law. So the same thing is going to happen with CBDCs. They're going to extend an offer that says you're going to become a prisoner in a digital control system If you accept that offer, then you are admitting to being the property of the state, essentially, to be controlled by the state, to have all your assets controlled. So Reese is exactly right there. And it is the mark of the beast system. I think you lose your soul if you go into that system and surrender to it. So we have to have systems, parallel economy systems outside of this, where we can maintain control with off-grid money, off-grid medicine, off-grid communications. Decentralization is the answer to all of this.
Now, Mike, next question we have here. Next question here. This is Mike, by the way, Mike, you came to the Reawaken America Tour, the first event when it was called the Health and Freedom Conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And in rare form, by the way, you dressed up for us. It was an awesome presentation. You've since joined us remotely, and I appreciate your support of the tour there. Alex Stein 99 just reached out, and he is joining the Reawaken America Tour in awesome. Miami. Now, Alex Stein, what he does, I don't think people understand what he's doing and the genius of it. He finds people like Dan Crenshaw. Now, Dan Crenshaw, for anybody out there that doesn't know, his kind of way he's branded is that of being a conservative person who's fighting against corruption, and he's got a military background, and it's Dan Crenshaw. However, Dan Crenshaw is also a member of the World Economic Forum and has globalist connections there. So there's kind of this duality of people like the governor of Texas that are listed as a member of the World Economic Forum, but yet they claim to be against globalism. So it's this weird sort of a deal, because if the governor of Texas wanted to stop the illegal immigration, he could do it very quickly. But instead, they talk about stopping illegal immigration in Texas, but they don't do it because Greg Abbott is a member of the World Economic Forum. So here we go. This is Dan Crenshaw. This is Alex Stein. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Here we go. Alex Stein, 99, joining us at the Reawaken America Tour. Here we go.
This is, imagine me calling you out because you're a globalist. Since we have so many issues here in America, he cares more about Ukraine. Yeah, you're disgusting. You guys' service was wasted. You're disgusting. You are the modern day. You are on Vietnam veterans. Then our border. You are the modern day. So you're a globalist. Why don't you take care of America? You don't care. That's your problem, Dan. You don't care about America. You don't care about Texas.
And that's the only way you can really get these people's attention, because they make themselves unapproachable. And I know some people don't like the delivery style of Alex Stein 99, but what are your thoughts on individuals finally calling out members of the World Economic Forum that claim to be Republican?
Well, yeah, exactly. This needs to happen on a much larger scale. Notice that even the governor of Ohio didn't want to respond to press questions, or at least his press secretary didn't want to respond to press questions about Ohio and the train derailment, the chemical release that happened after that ignition. But, even AOC has been kind of hounded by some of her former supporters for her pro-war stance. And so we're supposed to be, representative constitutional republic where these representatives should be able to answer to the people. And Alex Stein, yeah, of course, he's a showman, but he's very entertaining, and he's asking a lot of the right questions. And by the way, he is an equal opportunity offender. He'll go after AOC, who he calls, I think, his favorite big booty Latina, and then he'll go after this guy that I think he calls him Eye Patch McCain, by the way. So, again, he's dishing it out both sides.
Alex Stein 99, primetime Alex Stein 99, joining us on the Reawaken America Tour. Now, this next guy here, you've all Noah Harari. He's talking about how his ideas and visions for the future, they're not really liked in the West so much. He doesn't quite understand, but he says in China, they love his ideas. Let's listen to this. Here we go.
And many of the things that I visit a lot, both Europe and North America and China. And one of my main impressions is that many of the things I talk about and people in the West react with apprehension and fear. In China, the reaction to exactly the same topics is excitement. Wow, we can do that.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the colony, to the network.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Start combining organic and inorganic stuff. So direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic, but an inorganic immune system made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
We now welcome His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
尊敬的施瓦布主席
Professor Klaus Schwab, ladies and gentlemen, friends, greetings to you all. It is my pleasure to attend this virtual session of the World Economic Forum. We must add wings to the tiger and act with the courage and strength of the tiger to overcome all obstacles on our way forward.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, Mike Adams, I'd love your thought there. It appears as though they're trying to, they being the globalists, you've all know Harari, Klaus Schwab, they're trying to connect your neocortex to the internet, to a network. Could you explain for people who are hearing this for the first time, what is the ultimate goal of the Great Reset, sir?
Well, transhumanism, which means the extinction of the human species as we know it. And by the way, and you've covered this, I know, but the transhumanism movement is all about rejecting God and creating a new God, which is your digital, silicon God, supercomputer, microchips, AI systems, chat GPT taking over your consciousness or simulating you while they actually kill you. So of course they love communism, because communism also hates God and hates individuality and doesn't believe in human consciousness and so on. So I think it's really, that's a great compilation, by the way, that you put together there, where Yuval Harari says, oh gosh, all these Western people, they don't like our ideas, but the communists in China that carry out organ harvesting, they love it, right?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all perfectly aligned with all their evil. So what could be wrong with this plan,
Now, Mike, one of the things I love about your show is it's filled with practical solutions. And as we keep going through this roughage of just globalist commentary, I want to also get your feedback as we go kind of into rapid fire around here on some of the solutions, because you're a guy on your show. If you listen to the Health Ranger Report with any regularity at all, you'll find you do provide some humor, and you do provide a lot of solutions. And so I'm going to kind of tap into your brain on that. So let me hit play on this next clip here. Here we go.
Right now, globalist organizations like the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, as well as central banks across the entire world are pushing the idea of a centralized digital currency. It's a type of digital money that they could issue, track, restrict, as well as essentially use to control the citizens. But here's the kicker. While these organizations are talking publicly about issuing this digital money, behind the scenes, they're doing something else. They're purchasing massive amounts of physical gold. For instance, the Central Bank of Poland bought about 100 tons of gold last year. Singapore added 26 tons to their reserves. The Central Bank of Hungary increased their gold reserves by 3,000% over the last 3 years. France has repatriated all of their monetary gold. China has gotten so aggressive that they bought 30 tons of gold just last month alone, and so on and so on. So you see, well, on the one hand, these central bankers are priming the world's citizens about getting ready for a centralized digital currency. On the other hand, they have been accumulating massive positions in physical gold bullion. And so, do you trust what they say or what they do?
COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
The nature of this CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. And it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
CBDC. If that happens, we're done.
So why are globalists buying up the Earth's gold while telling you and I that central bank digital currencies are a good thing? I mean, why? It would seem as though the globalists are buying up the world's gold, but yet they're telling us that central bank digital currencies are the way of the future. Mike, why is that?
Well, first of all, most of the purchases of gold are happening by China. Just in the third quarter of last year, they purchased over 300 tons. And I saw that you just quoted that 30 tons in December alone, but by far, the vast majority of gold purchases are happening by China. Now, China, Iran, Russia, and other nations, including all the BRICS Plus nations, of course, are planning on rolling out a new global reserve currency to replace the petrodollar. But they know that in order to have, for people, merchants and anyone doing transactions to have faith in that system, it has to be backed by gold, not just the full faith and credit of a country. Because you see, as the dollar collapses, which I believe will happen, I mean, probably the euro will collapse first, and then the dollar will collapse. But we already see Saudi Arabia moving away from the petrodollar and doing business with China. So as the dollar collapses, a lot of the Western world will lose faith in fiat currencies that are backed by nothing. China knows that in order to have global dominance, they need gold backing their new digital currency, even as that digital currency will serve as a spy network. So it's this weird combination where the central banks are telling you, don't buy gold, but they're buying gold because they want you to trust their digital system that will be an enslavement system. So, I say bypass the middleman, just buy gold yourself. Don't use their CBDC.
And I'll say this real quick too. This is so super important for people to understand this, is that, and Mike, I'd love to get your thoughts on this timeline, and please feel free to correct me if I'm missing something here. But in 1971, per the recommendation of Nixon, America got off of the gold standard. So folks, we can look that up today. 1971, Richard Nixon, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, took us off the gold standard. In 1971, this guy, Klaus Schwab, he started the World Economic Forum in 1971. In 1971, America began sacrificing babies to Baal, aka abortion. In 1971, the Pope finished his new audience hall that looks like a snake head. That's always kind of a weird look. In 1971, the song Imagine was written by John Lennon that basically prophesied the Great Reset. And in 1971, the book Rules for Radicals came out and was dedicated to Lucifer. A lot of weird stuff happened in 1971, but shortly thereafter, the introduction of the petrodollar happened. So people say, well, if the dollar wasn't backed by gold, how does it have any value? Well, there was this thing called the petrodollar, where, again, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, the United States teamed up with Saudi Arabia, and they said, hey, this is our weird relationship we're going to have. You guys export your oil to countries that we like at a price we like and price it in U.S. dollars, and then we're going to protect you militarily, and then deposit your profits or some of your profits in the U.S. bank. However, this just happened, and it appears as though Saudi Arabia is leaving the petrodollar. Here we go.
And here's another battle that the West is fighting. A battle of narratives, a battle to win new allies, only that it is failing miserably at this. Forget new allies. Even old friends of the West are ditching it, like Saudi Arabia.
So how does Saudi Arabia leaving the U.S. petrodollar, how does Saudi Arabia teaming up with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, how does that accelerate the de-dollarization of the world? Saudi Arabia teaming up with BRICS, how does that work?
Because the minute Saudi Arabia abandons the petrodollar demand for transacting in dollars for oil, then all these other countries around the world that purchase oil no longer need dollars. So immediately global demand for dollars collapses, which means that those countries will begin selling dollars like crazy into the international marketplace. So all these dollars will come flooding back into the United States, which causes, of course, a devaluation of the dollars, or i.e. price inflation of everything that you might purchase with dollars. So those countries, and this has already begun. We've seen announcements over the last several months. You've seen this, different countries announcing they're going to settle transactions between each other. It could be like, the Saudis and China in currencies other than dollars. And certainly Russia is selling oil in obviously currencies other than dollars, because they're not even allowed to use the SWIFT system anymore. So they're selling in rubles, they're selling in gold. They may even be accepting crypto in some cases as well. But all these countries around the world will say, why do we want to hold dollars when the US empire can cut us off from the SWIFT system anytime that they want, if they don't like our politics, while the same the same empire, the US empire, is pushing all the countries of the world to accept transgenderism and child mutilations and child grooming and the LGBT rainbow flags. Well, What if a country like Turkey says, we don't want LGBT to dominate our society? Well, they could get cut off from the West. See? So that's why the West is trying to say, you have to use our dollars and you have to mutilate children. And frankly, the rest of the world's not going for it.
Now, Mike, I want to respect your time. Do I have you for 2 more minutes or 23 more minutes?
Well, whatever time you need, Clay.
Okay, well, this is good. This is probably the most important interview that anybody's going to hear, and I really want to dial into this. And I also want to talk about your new studio and your bougie new lifestyle that you've been living since you moved into this new studio, where you now have your dog in your own studio. So let me. Okay, and by the way, folks, you might not be able to see this
in your studio.
You might not be able to see this off camera, folks, but we have reason to believe. We have no proof, just reason to believe that since Mike moved into his bougie new studio, he's now having a group of people that will kind of carry him into the studio. He now has a manservant that's feeding his dog lobster while he's on the show. There's a lot of things. We can't confirm it. We just have reason to suspect it based upon purely the imagination that I have. I think Mike's changed a lot since the new studio, frankly, folks.
Well, but I'm not the only one.
Oh, sorry there. I was trying to practice mainstream media where I mute your mic when you respond. Back to you, sir.
Okay, all right, but I'm not the only one who's changed recently, Clay. I think we can change you into a dog person. By the way, all you have to do is come to my studio, you hang out here, and we'll have Rhodey just like jump up and hug you a lot until you get the dog vibe.
Let me talk to you about the dog thing real quick. Let me tell you this. You know how like some people buy a piano and they're in their 30s and you go, Carl, you're never going to practice that piano. I mean, I love you, Carl. You're not going to say it. You're going to kill his dream. But, you know, there's people that go get the yoga pants. They go get the new workout compression sleeve. They get all the protein. They get the new shoes. And you're going, you're not going to go to the gym. And they're like, no. And they talk about it a lot. It's like in Seinfeld where Kramer he told Jerry, I'm going to build a hot tub. You know, I just know that I'm the kind of guy that if I actually purchased a dog, I would never do the things that I should do to care for the dog properly. I know myself. So as a benefit to other dogs all over the world, I have chosen not to purchase a dog because, Mike, I would be a bad dog owner. I really would be.
We can cure you of that with canine shock treatment. And I have the perfect candidate right here. Now they make control collars where there's one collar that goes on the dog and one on the human. And,
oh, come on.
And it's a dual nick collar. You can just turn up the voltage until you fall in love with the dog. Yeah.
Let me hit play here. This is Glenn Beck here, folks. Glenn Beck here, also broadcasting from a bougie studio.
I saw a disturbing story from Bloomberg last week, and I haven't mentioned it because I wanted to make sure I had some facts on it. I called Carol Roth. I called everybody I know, and they were like, that doesn't seem... Well, I don't know. Let me look into it. Carol is here to explain this. Here's what I found in Bloomberg. Asia has net imported gold from the West since April. The trade flow into China, 160 tons of gold. Into India, 80 tons. Into Turkey, 62. Thailand, 38 tons. Saudi Arabia, 20 tons. Malaysia, 4 tons. Hong Kong, 3 tons. Where do they get all this gold? Well, the UK sold 15 tons of gold from their treasury, 32 tons South Africa, Canada 33, Australia 34 tons, and the United States of America sold 136 tons of gold. Did we send that to China? Why are we selling gold when smart money would be buying gold?
The stranglehold the G7 has over the economic state of our world could be about to change, and it has everything to do with BRICS. No, not these kind of BRICS, but this BRICS, B-R-I-C-S. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and is basically a competitor to the G7, comprising the world's biggest developing economies. Individually, the nations that make up BRICS aren't much of a threat to the West, but together, it's a much different story. Today, BRICS nations account for more than 40% of the world's population and 31.5% of the planet's total GDP. But by 2030, just 8 years away, the IMF estimates that BRICS countries will collectively account for half of the world's GDP, and that's not taking into account new countries that may also join the alliance. Recently, Argentina has formally applied to join BRICS. Reports suggest that Iran may also soon be doing the same, and Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are all flirting with this membership.
Okay, Mike Adams, I don't think that I've done a good job educating my listeners on the profundity of this idea. But the reason why America is the most prosperous, you see a lot of rallies where they gather and they say, America's the best because we're free, and that's why we're brave, because we're free and we're brave and we're America. Woo! Ric Flair. Woo! You see a lot of Americans that are like, we're free and we're brave, and that's why we're free. One of the reasons that we are free and we're brave is we're economically dominant. Due to A, the sacrifices that men and women made to fight for freedom, and then B, when you control the Earth's reserve currency, that gives you a lot of negotiation power in discussions, in sanctions, in how you deal with the international community. Mike, what does this mean if BRICS successfully introduces a new gold-backed central bank digital currency?
Well, it likely means that people will drop the euro, the dollar, and the yen, which are all Western currencies. Japan is with the US and Canada and Western Europe and Australia, New Zealand, Taiwan, and so on. All those currencies are headed for total collapse because they're backed by absolutely nothing. Now, that report that you just showed there mentioned that the US GDP or the Western GDP versus BRICS GDP. Well, the issue is that the GDP of the West is mostly fiction because we don't make anything that's real anymore for the most part. The actual industry of the world is held by countries like China and India and Russia and others. I mean, just look at this in the current war situation. The US has run out of munitions. We've been shipping all these munitions over to Ukraine, and we've run out. And we can't manufacture enough to even keep up with the daily pace of artillery firing by Russia. And we can't even manufacture them without building new factories, which are years out. I mean, the US has already lost the industrial leverage that it once had post-World War II. That's gone. So yeah, what's our economy right now? Yeah, making vaccines, healthcare, which is really death care, selling derivatives to people that are going to collapse. I mean, it's a fictional economy, just like it's fictional biology, fictional administration with fictional elections and fake news and fake science. Everything's faked in our society. That's the problem.
Now, on today's show, on part 2 of today's show, we'll be featuring an interview with Robert Kiyosaki. And then on part 3 of today's show, an interview with Catherine Austin Fitts. And the reason why I wanted to feature you all on one particular show is because you all, regardless of how much time you spend together or not together, or how much you read each other's work or not, you've all independently, strong voices, have shared the fact that the collapse of the dollar is near. It is near. And I think it's time to switch into a different gear instead of saying, oh, this might happen, to embracing the fact that it is going to happen. So as an example, if we knew we were going camping this weekend, we're going to go camping, and we knew that the camping was what we were going to do, and it's Friday, and we're going to go camping at, 5 p.m., and I say, guys, you guys ready to go? And someone goes, yeah, I'm ready to go pretty much overall. And I go, yeah, you got your camping gear? No. You got a tent? No. You got your supplies? No. And then when the moment occurs when someone says, wow, we are really going camping, that's where it gets awkward. So the price of gold per ounce in 1971 was $40. Okay. 1971. You move into 1991, the price of gold per ounce was $362 an ounce. I started buying gold and silver consistently around 2005 because a person that I knew very well owned a bank, and they were telling me, no matter what you do, you need to buy gold and silver. So let's just talk about the mechanics of buying gold and silver for a second. If somebody does go to a trusted gold and silver dealer but they've never bought gold before, I recommend step 1, Mike, is you book a consultation with 2 companies so that you get kind of an option A or a B. And I recommend no one purchases gold certificates. I recommend you get the physical, tangible gold and silver. Let's just talk about those first 2 steps. Do you recommend that people do a consultation or 2? And do you also recommend physical gold as opposed to certificates?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I recommend that if you work with any gold company, make sure that company publishes the gold prices on their website live in real time, so you can compare prices even before you contact them. And, there are a lot of shenanigans, have always been in the gold and silver industry. Some companies operate where you call them and then they want to talk you into really overpriced numismatic coins or things that really don't hold value. So just be careful. Understand that You want to get the maximum ounces per dollar in your hands, not held somewhere else, unless you have a special situation where you're planning on moving and you're not in a secure location right now, like you live in San Francisco or something. Maybe you don't want to keep gold in your apartment. But for most people, you want it physically in your hands, under your control. It's going to be far more secure there, and the bank won't be able to confiscate it easily, obviously, or the government to confiscate it if it's in your own home. That's a lot of work for government officials to try to do that. So that's my advice. But also, people can check out gold and silver IRAs. Take your money out of the stock market in this scenario. You can put it in gold and silver where it's more likely to hold value.
Now,
and there are a lot of companies that offer that service. Just make sure you're getting the most gold and silver for your dollar.
I just want to be very clear on this so that people can understand the financial geniusness that I demonstrate here by doing nothing after I buy gold and silver. So I start buying gold. And Mike, I remember I sat down with a guy who owned a bank and I said, hey, you own a bank. What should I do with my cash? And he said, what you need to do is you need to take a quarter of your cash and buy gold and silver. Take a quarter of your cash and buy real estate from emotional people that need to sell, buy low, sell high. And I said, well, what should I do with the other half? And he said, well, you want to, keep cash on hand. But he said, you have to always understand that the FDIC is not federal and there is no reserve. And I remember thinking that. I'm going, what? There's no reserve? And he says, no, the federal, and this is a guy who owns a bank. So, Mike, I started buying gold and silver, 2005-ish. And over the years, I just kept buying it, not emotional, just buying a set percentage. Well, now I started getting into like 2015, and it's like $1,100, an ounce. And I'm going, man, I'm a financial genius. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing nothing, just buying it. Well, now we're talking, it's like $1,800 an ounce ish. And now you've got the Federal Reserve. This is the Federal Reserve Insurance Corporation. That's kind of a closed circuit presentation there where they're talking about key FDIC decisions that have to be made. And as you're watching this video, folks, keep into your mind that the Federal Reserve, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, they insure $9 trillion of bank deposits with only $125 billion worth of assets. So when you go to the bank, they always have that little sign that says, your money's insured up to $250,000. And again, the FDIC insures $9 trillion of bank deposits with only $125 billion worth of assets. Watch this, folks. Here we go.
It's important that people understand they can be bailed in, but you don't want a huge run on the institution. But they're going to be. And it could be an early warning signal to the FDIC and the primary regulators when these things happen. And there may be some other prices. This is similar to what Jay was saying in the market, that you can tell whether people understand who's going to be protected, who isn't going to be protected.
It should be accessible when people need to know, but I don't think you have much hope of reaching a public that doesn't have a professional need to know.
I completely agree with that. I almost think you'd scare the public if you put this out. Like, why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank? Like, my insurance company doesn't tell me what they're doing with my assets. They just assume they're going to pay my claim. And if they want to understand this, they're going to find a way to understand this. There's a bunch of law firms represented in this room. There's a bunch of people that'll charge them by the hour a lot of money to explain this all to them, and it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And they all have huge staffs. But I would be careful about the
unintended. Mike, are bank bail-ins a real thing? Rumor has it the Dodd-Frank Act allows bank bail-ins. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, absolutely a real thing, and it's coming big time. It's going to be a bank freeze. Currencies or deposits in the bank are actually the property of the bank, and you're only really a claimant to a bankrupt bank. And as you said there, the FDIC does not have enough funds to bail people out. And in fact, I don't even think they're going to try. Again, I think what's coming is a currency collapse that is partially engineered, followed by a central bank digital currency rollout as your insurance payout. It's like, oh yeah, all your bank account money disappeared. We have it over here. It's safe and sound in this digital place. All you have to do is sign up and join that system. And then they'll try to push, for example, food stamps, the SNAP system. They'll try to push retailers like Walmart and grocery stores to only accept digital currencies for the food stamp system, try to get all the people over to that. Now, we've also seen in Brazil now, Lula down there is saying that if you don't take all the jabs, you won't get welfare. So you can see the control system kicking in.
Wow.
Poor people are going to be put on this digital system and then required to take more jabs until they die in order to get, so-called free money or even a universal basic income. They're going to push a UBI through that system to incentivize people to join it, and then they'll just slowly kill them off with more jabs. It's so obvious, actually.
And you said
It's super obvious.
UBI is a universal basic income. UBI, for everybody out there that, or you could just call it UB if you're really on the know. You just call it UB.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now, the final thing I want to ask you about here is MIT developed what's called CBDCs. What? MIT, folks, do a Google search. MIT developed the CBDCs. What? MIT developed CBDCs. Look it up, folks. MIT developed CBDCs. Then we do a Google search for MIT. They developed what's called the quantum dot, which allows you to store a patient's financial and medical records under their skin. And that same MIT was funded by Epstein and Gates. What? Epstein and Gates? Epstein and Gates funded MIT? What? You mean the man, the world's most prolific pedophile who's so serious about his religion that he went through the effort of installing a temple on his island? What? Yeah, Epstein had a temple on his island. Right? This is a very devout follower of his satanic religion. Jeffrey Epstein put a temple on his island, and that's the man funding MIT, who's creating the quantum dot and the CBDCs. But so we won't pick up on the pattern so they can trick us. They called the new central bank digital currency, it's called Quant. Because if they called it the quantum dot, central bank digital currencies brought to you by Jeffrey Epstein, people would catch on. I mean, if they said, and now your new currency is the quantum dot central bank digital currency brought to you by the world's most prolific pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. If that way, I think at that point, some people might catch on there. Mike, what are your thoughts about Quant? They're calling it Quant, MIT, CBDCs, the quantum dot. Can you kind of connect the dots mechanically? How does this all work?
Well, yeah. And by the way, I love how you had to use DuckDuckGo to search for Epstein's temple there, because Google covers for pedophiles and censors anything about the pedophiles and the globalists. So, very interesting, isn't it, what they won't allow you to search for on search engines like Google. But yeah, so what they're going to have, again, they're going to barcode you like a prisoner in a digital system, kind of what you open with the Greg Reese report. And under that system, all your records are going to be aggregated. It's going to be your social compliance score, which is an obedience score to the woke globalist agenda. And it's going to be your medical records, which includes whether you're unvaccinated. That's a status that will penalize you in the system. And then all your financial records and so on. And by the way, access to a complete log of everything that you've ever read on Amazon, digital books, Kindle, everything you've ever watched on Netflix, every movie you've ever seen on Amazon Prime. And also all of your online shopping habits will be completely surveilled. Oh, Clay, did you buy any ammunition recently online? Oh. Well, see, that's going to work against you big time. Or if you bought a firearm, God forbid, firearm and ammo, and you're not taking vaccines, you might be a terrorist, like Woody Harrelson, apparently after this weekend. That's what the media is saying about him. But it's all going to be controlled by one central system. It is a mark of the beast system, and it's designed to end human freedom, but ultimately to end humanity. This is a war against humanity.
Now, Mike, I want to show some solutions and some resources for everybody out there. First off, folks, if you are wanting to watch the Mike Adams show, the Health Ranger show, if you go to Brighteon.com, it's a platform that Mike and his team have developed. And think of it as like a non-communist version of YouTube. There's some different functionality and features there that you'll find that you can't find on YouTube. It's called Health Ranger Report. My wife listens to the show every day. I encourage you to check it out. It's Brighteon.com. Now, Mike, you also have a news aggregator website. What's that website there, sir?
Censored.news. And I'm posting the headlines at the top myself, but then we have a spider that automatically spiders 40 plus websites. If you scroll down, you'll get the automated headlines beneath that. But I'm posting those headlines on top. And the thing is that the headlines that I'm posting are usually notes to myself about things I'm going to talk about in the next podcast. So if people want to get a sense of what I think is important happening in the world, and I have a lot of sources that are sending me links and so on, it's there on the top of censored.news.
Now, I would encourage everybody to stock up on gold and silver. I would recommend you do that. One thing, it's super self-serving because I have partnered with the brand and have worked with the brand for a long time. Mike, I just wanted to ask you here. Feel free to punt if you want, but the good folks at Tip Top Canine, why I like them is they're providing opportunities for people that don't want to take the jab. So if you have a job, but you don't want to take the jab, I think that's going to be an increasingly difficult thing to find. And so if you're looking for a career that doesn't require the taking of the COVID-19 shots, the good folks at Tip Top Canine, they have a 6-week training program where in 6 weeks, you can learn how to open your own Tip Top Canine franchise. There's approaching 20 locations all over the country. Mike, you've worked with the Tip Top folks. Has your dog eaten you yet? Are you happy with the service? How's it been going so far?
Tip Top Canine is just amazing. I mean, really interacting with those folks and getting this dog changed my life. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. And I just want to put this offer out there to anybody listening who wants to consider opening a Tip Top Canine franchise. Once you open a franchise, I will announce it for free. I'll publicize it on my podcast because what I learned from these guys, it's so life-changing. Even I'm training my other dogs, Clay. Now that I learned, let me back up. So Tip Top Canine people trained me, first of all, on how to train dogs, including this military dog I have here. And then I took that knowledge and now I'm training my other dogs who I thought were uncontrollable. And now guess what? They come when I call them. It's amazing using the training techniques. Even a guy like me, who's not a professional dog trainer, even I'm competent at training my own dogs now, but this is a great opportunity in any city in America, that's available for the franchises. People want to bring their dogs and have them trained because more people are working at home. More lockdowns are probably coming, God forbid, but people need to be able to get along with their pets. And Tip Top Canine really is effective at making that happen. That's just my testimonial right there. Feel free to use it.
Mike, a final question I have here for you. Stocking up on food. I always tell people, I tell people solutions that I actually have bought a lot of stuff from. So that's what I try to do. So I'm not going to hop on this show and say, you should listen to Mike Adams' show. If my wife hasn't listened to your show, if I don't listen to your show, I'm not the guy that's going to get up here and tell people to listen to your show. But I do listen to your show. I do look at your news aggregation service. It's a great job there. I personally have stocked up on a lot of food from a local Tulsa doctor called Sherwood.tv. Bought a lot from him over the years. It's organic food that's designed to last a long time. I've also bought a lot from My Patriot Supply. I'm not saying that you endorse that idea. Who would you recommend that people stock up on or food? Because again, if a supply chain collapse happens, I mean, if even 10% of the population decides not to take the central bank digital currency system, you're going to have a problem with the supply chain. So do you have any recommendations for food?
Well, there are a lot of options out there, but what we specialize in is certified organic, lab tested food supplies. And by the way, can you show camera 5 for a minute there? I'm telling my guy, because we actually plug our own products here.
Where is it? Yeah, tell me the product. What's the website we go to?
Healthrangerstore.com. Healthrangerstore.com, and you can get our products there. But what I want to mention is we have our own laboratory, mass spec laboratory, and we're adding a dioxin testing capability because of the fallout from the Ohio train wreck situation.
Right.
We're actually adding dioxin testing to our lab. We'll have that up and running in the next 90 days. We test for heavy metals, glyphosate, aflatoxins, bacteria, E. coli, and then soon dioxins on top of that. So there's no food that's more heavily tested and scrutinized in the world than what we offer at healthrangerstore.com.
Mike,
now we're not the most affordable option.
Mike, I want to call you out on this. I've heard that aflatoxins make pepperoni taste better when you purchase it from. Is that an accurate thing? I mean, are you killing the flavor, or are we compromising health for taste here? I mean, should we not be seeking after cancer-causing toxins as a flavor enhancer? Are you going on the record with that, sir? Or are you?
So aflatoxins, that's the #1 killer of livestock. It damages their liver and kills them. And it's found in grains and oats and beans and legumes and so on. If you get aflatoxins in your human products, it can cause extreme liver damage. And it's found in nuts and seeds and things like that. So we actually do that testing. Clay, seriously, how the supply chain has been delayed. The barges aren't moving like they're supposed to. And a lot of grains and things have been piled up on the sides of the Mississippi River. Well, in that environment, they grow mold. and the mold produces aflatoxins. So there's a lot of aflatoxin now in the food supply. And with whatever's happening in Ohio, there's more dioxins coming in the food supply, which affects meats too, and like dairy, cheese and milk and milk powder and even chicken eggs and things like that. So that's our specialty, is we test on these. There's a lot other more affordable options for food that's not organic and not tested, but we specialize in fully lab tested, certified organic.
Mike, I appreciate you again. What were some of the chemicals that are not inside your food here? Because again, people are going to healthrangerstore.com, and a lot of people are kind of on the fence. They're going, I don't know if I want to part with that toxin for the health benefits. What are the toxins that your food doesn't have again? Can you tell us again?
So we test for all the top heavy metals, lead, cadmium, arsenic, and mercury. We also test for glyphosate, which is the #1 weed killer. We're about to add atrazine testing, which is the second most common weed killer. We test for aflatoxins, like I said, which are liver damaging, produced by mold and fungi. We test for E. coli, salmonella, yeast, and mold. And then we're adding dioxin testing soon in about 3 months to our system.
I don't want to point this out to you because you're not asking me for my business advice, but with taking out the mold, you're losing that part of the market that seeks after mold in their food. I'm just going to throw it out there for
I know the mold discount sector of the food economy. Or the pesticide, people who want to support Monsanto, can buy glyphosate contaminated foods. They're much less expensive at your grocery store. So
Mike, thanks for giving people options there. I appreciate it, because some people are going, I love those toxins. Knowing what I know now,
I know.
It's a faster way to meet Jesus is eat those flavor enhancers. Okay, Mike Adams, thank you so much for carving out time. I really do appreciate you very much. Your studio is looking great there, sir. I know it's been a long time coming. You've been one of the first truth-telling voices in the movement, one of the most heavily censored people in America, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for investing in lighting and sound that makes you look better.
Well, see, we're giving you our wide shot here right now. This is the wide shot of the studio. Yeah. Just
look great.
Just to show you, it's real. It's not a green screen. No, we actually built it. So
it looks great, Mike.
It's coming along. It's coming along. Yours has always looked awesome, but we finally upgraded to Clay's level of studio.
Mike, seriously, and I say this, any of the events that you've ever wanted, if we ever do a Reawaken America tour, the door's always open for you. I appreciate all the work you do behind the scenes, keeping people focused on exposing the truth. You really are a leader in the truth movement. I appreciate that, sir, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you, Clay. We're working at it. And again, keep me posted. If anybody joins the Tip Top K9 franchise, we want to announce it and help get all these dogs under control all across America, so they don't, eat our microphones and things like that.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
Right. Thank you, Clay. All right.
Well, Thrive Nation, sometimes we find ourselves in a place and space where we have a job that we don't necessarily like. Or maybe if I have a career, when we think to ourselves, well, if I keep doing this for 10 more years, where will I be? Sometimes we find ourselves at a proverbial fork in the road where we say, is now a good time for me to start a business? And really, there's 3 kinds of entrepreneurial endeavors you can take if you want to become self-employed. One, you can start your own business from scratch, which requires you to invent all the systems, all the processes, and start literally from scratch. The second option you can do is you could buy a franchise, and a franchise is a proven business model that's been proven to work, and you're paying for the privilege of using a proven system. And the third option that exists that's pretty common is to license something. So maybe you pay for the ability to take a product and license it so that you can pay a license fee so that you can sell that product or service with the permission of the company. And on today's show, we're joined by a Tip Top K9 franchise owner by the name of Josh Johnson. He's done very well as a Tip Top K9 franchise owner, and he's here to share his story. Josh Johnson, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Clay?
Brother, I'm excited to have you. Now, how did you originally hear about the Tip Top K9 franchise opportunity?
Sure, yeah. So, I live out here in Utah, as you know, but my brother lives out kind of by you. And he mentioned he'd been working with you for a while, and he mentioned to me that there's a company called Tip Top K9. They work with dogs, and they're looking for more people to franchise out. And so that's kind of how I heard about the opportunity.
And if kind of full disclosure on this, I've had the opportunity to work with your brother and his incredible wife, Jared and Jennifer, for years with their company called Platinum Pest. And we've helped them grow dramatically. And he's just a wonderful guy to work with. If you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you're looking for a pest control service you can trust, that's Jared and Jennifer Johnson with Platinum Pest. And so you heard about the opportunity through your brother. And do you remember what your next step was? What was the next step you took?
Sure. Yeah. So my next step was scheduling a call with you.
Yeah.
And meeting you for the first time, which is awesome. It was very informative. And if I can, would you like me to tell you kind of what I was doing before Tip Top Canine?
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. That might help shed a little more light on the context. So before Tip Top Canine, I went to college, went to BYU, got a degree in public relations. Really awesome degree. At the time, it was like they had like one of the top 5 PR programs in the nation. And I got a job working for an energy consulting firm, and it was okay job. The people were great. Loved working with my coworkers, but it was pretty boring work. So what I was doing, I was working with major utilities in the area. So power companies, gas companies, just super boring clients, right?
Right.
And so I was actually saving up and I was studying to take the GMAT because I was I figured if I'm going to sit at a desk the rest of my life, I might as well get paid more, right? So I was going to go back and get my MBA. But it was, in fact, while I had like my GMAT scheduled, that's when my brother told me about Tip Top Canine. And the more I thought about it, the more it sounded like, work with dogs the rest of my life is a lot better than going back to school just to sit at another desk.
Now, do you remember, I know it's been years now at this point, but do you remember what our first interaction was like, you and I, or the first kind of things we went over? Do you remember that at all?
Sure. Yeah. You talked to me about like goals that I had in life, things that I wanted to be able to do with life, where I felt I was at currently with my current job. And you gave you some ideas about the opportunities that come with purchasing a Tip Top Canine franchise. And that was mostly kind of what our discussion was about.
Now, the thing I love about Tip Top Canine is if you buy a Tip Top Canine, you're following a proven system. And I'm going to show that system in just a moment. You're following a proven system. Did that factor into your decision to want to buy a Tip Top Canine, knowing that it was like a workflow that you could actually see? Because I'm going to show the workflow to people in just a minute. But for me, it helps to see it and go, okay, this is what I need to do on a weekly basis. Was that helpful to see the workflow?
Oh, absolutely. So it did take a little bit of convincing for me to actually start up because just a little bit about my personality. I never saw myself as like a business owner. I never really saw myself as like the head of a company, right? But the more I learned about the systems, the more I learned about the processes and the support that I had, ultimately made it kind of a no-brainer. And it's been awesome, the support I've had through every step of the way, getting books set up, getting the business set up. It's really helped me plow through a lot of the red tape and headaches that go along with, one, starting the business, but two, just continuing to operate that's profitable.
Now, the thing I've discovered too is it's most people who I speak to who become a Tip Top Canine franchise owner or an OxyFresh franchise owner, they don't consider themselves as somebody who could run a business. It's like a big gap. They go, I don't know if I could ever do it. And I look at somebody who has high integrity, who is a hard worker, and I go, if you have high integrity and you're a hard worker, you can do it. But what we like to do with both OxyFresh and for Tip Top Canine is we schedule a discovery day where you can come out to Tulsa and spend time with Ryan and Rachel, who in my opinion, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I feel like they do a fine job showing you what it's like to run a Tip Top Canine, what your schedule is going to be like, what the activity looks like of being a dog trainer. Can you explain your discovery day process with Ryan and Rachel and what that was like?
Sure. Yeah. So I went out to Oklahoma and I got there in the morning and met with Ryan. Ryan, right off the bat, told about Tip Top Canine, kind of where we're going as a company, kind of the culture there. And then right after that, he jumped right after that. Within like 20 minutes, he had me working with dogs. It was very hands-on. It was very thorough. It was definitely a lot of work. It's kind of baptism by fire, but it was good. Because it really helps set the precedent for what working with dogs is going to be like.
Now, you decided to buy a Tip Top Canine franchise, and then now we have a weekly coaching call. Now, what Andrew Bloomer does is he hops on the call, or I'll hop on the call if we need to, if there's like an intervention. But we hop on the call every week, and the purpose is to make sure that you're following the systems, because I want you to bring in $20,000 of gross revenue as soon as possible. And so this workflow, if you can look at it, folks, and kind of look at it from a perspective of if this was going to be your new career. Every week, the expectation that I have for you is I'm expecting you as a franchise owner, and you don't have to do it, but I'm expecting you to get Google reviews and to market to your Dream 100. The Dream 100 would be dog groomers, veterinarians. It's places that are likely to be visited by your ideal and likely buyers. We're wanting to make a list of places that your ideal and likely buyers are likely to go to so that they can be referred to you. And then we have to get Google reviews and video reviews every week. Can you explain the importance, or what your thoughts are on the weekly accountability of making sure that happens?
Sure. Yeah. Accountability is really awesome because, I mean, I kind of found that, like, first you have to measure your progress, right? So progress doesn't improve without being measured, but once you hold that progress accountable, that progress is going to double, if that makes sense. So the more you're held accountable, the more likely you are to actually follow through and make sure you're doing it. And the systems are designed to make sure that if you follow it, you're going to grow, you're going to improve, you're going to meet your goals.
And you are in Utah. What city in Utah are you at, so people can verify you're not a hologram?
Sure. Yeah. So we live in Salt Lake area. Our first franchise location was in West Jordan.
West Jordan. And for everybody out there that doesn't know, how would you describe the West Jordan situation, the West Jordan community? Is it a big community, small community? How would you describe that?
Sure. So just a little bit about Salt Lake. Salt Lake is just a bunch of kind of small cities all mushed together. But West Jordan is awesome. It's on the kind of the southwest side from Salt Lake City. And it's a tight-knit little community. It's growing, and the people there are really awesome. But we started off as kind of just a new dog and in the park full of hundreds of other dog trainers.
Yep.
And quickly we've risen to the top of being the highest reviewed dog trainer, not only in West Jordan, but also in the entire state of Utah.
And again, just so we're clear, the reason why you come up top in the Google search results isn't because I like you. It's not because you're a great guy. Well, you happen to be a great guy, and I happen to like you, but it's because you diligently every week get those Google reviews. We write that content, and now you're getting referrals, though, from Dream 100 people. You have people that are referring you, and I'm not looking for the specific names, but what kind of professionals are referring you now, or what kind of organizations are referring you at this point?
Sure, like you said, it's mostly veterinarians and dog groomers. There's also been a couple of pet stores that we've branched out to, and just mom and pop pet stores in the area that we bring cookies to and develop good relationships with, and we've gotten referrals from them as well.
Now, the leads come in. So leads come in to the website. People find the website. They go to the website. They're typing in West Jordan dog training. They find it. They fill out the form. And at that point, these items here on this agenda, the local location the local location has their leads called by the corporate call center. So the call center will send them a pre-written text. They're going to send them an email, and they're going to go ahead and call those leads, and the calls are recorded for quality assurance, and they're going to book a $1 lesson so that you can demonstrate what you can do. So again, the consumer is only paying $1 for that first lesson, and that gives you an opportunity to demonstrate what you can do for them. And again, this area here in black, this is all the work that you have to do as a local owner. So again, as it relates to marketing, the expectation is you're getting Google reviews, you're doing the Dream 100, the leads come in, they get a text, they get a call, we get a booking, boom, and all of a sudden but you have to do all this work after that. You have to provide the $1 lesson, you got to sign people up, you've got to sign them up, you got to sell the packages, you got to present the options, you've got to do the weekly group interview. Now again, What I find is successful business owners love what I call the crap, the core, repeatable, actionable processes. They love the crap. Successful business owners love doing the core, repeatable, actionable processes. Why do you have to consistently do a group interview? And why do you have to consistently get Google reviews? And why do you have to consistently do the Dream 100? Why can't you stop those things?
Sure. Well, in our industry, if you're treading water, you're actually going to drown. You're going to get passed up super fast. Dog training is very competitive here in Salt Lake. So if we're stagnant, we're getting left behind. So if we're not continually getting Google reviews, we're going to be left in the dust because everyone else is. So if we want to stay on top, we have to make sure we're continuing those different processes. The group interviews are super important because we're only as good as our people. Earlier on, when I wasn't as consistent with doing group interviews, we were stuck and kind of held hostage a couple times by bad employees.
Yeah.
But right now, the employees I have, they are all rock stars, and got a core solid team of really good players that I feel like we can grow and continue to just do really awesome with.
Now, the way a franchise works is theoretically I'm supposed to get a percentage of what you make. So I want you to make a lot of money so that I can make money. I mean, and the theory is that you're supposed to be making a lot more money than I'm making because that's what we agreed to on the franchise disclosure document. So it's very clear. I want to hit on three final areas here, and I want to respect your time. I really do believe that Ryan and Rachel do a phenomenal job training the local franchise owners and supplying the ongoing support at the call center. Can you maybe talk about what that's like, not having to answer your own phone and having great training that Ryan and Rachel provide on how to actually train dogs?
That is such it's such a huge just burden on my shoulders from not having to just live on my phone and answer calls all day. But two, it gives us a leg up on the competition. I can't tell you how many times where I've shown up to a $1 lesson with a potential customer, and they let me know, hey, we've called several trainers. Y'all were the very first people that responded back, and it was within minutes of us even filling out the form. Or like they were just able to call. We answered right away. They didn't have to leave a message, and we were able to get scheduled. And that has led to a lot of revenue from us just being the first one to get our foot in the door and meet with these people.
So now let's talk about the if you could share about the importance of the weekly calls with Andrew, having somebody that's pulling the ad reports every week, having somebody to make sure your ads are on, somebody to harass you every week about getting Google reviews and video reviews. And how important is that?
Sure. I mean, like I said, accountability, it's super important for helping make sure your progress is continuing to grow and grow and grow, that you're staying true to these processes that have been proven to work and do lead to your success.
How would you describe in your mind, like what would happen if you didn't have that weekly touch point?
One, I would just feel kind of just the lack of support for, like, if I have like a burning fire that comes up, or if I need to change something with, how we're marketing, I wouldn't feel very supported in making sure that we're making the most out of the ad spin that we're putting forth. But two, if the accountability isn't quite, weekly, it can be a lot easier to just kind of make the changes after the call and then regress into what you're doing before. And then the call comes back another quarter later, make changes, and you're regressing. So I feel like instead of your progress continually increasing, it's going to be more like waving, if that makes sense.
How would you describe what the weekly call is like with Andrew?
Sure. Yeah. So we answer the phone. Andrew asks us how we're doing, if we have any burning fires we need to discuss. And then we also get to meet with other franchise owners on the phone too. We get to hear about their successes, maybe points or tips that they have, any challenges that they may have. We can ask for support. We can ask for help. It's really just a big support group call to really help motivate us to push forward, but also give us the tools that we need to be successful.
Now, the reason why I like to set it up where you're on the phone with other locations is so that clearly you can see who's having success and who's maybe not having as much success. You can find out who's doing well and what they're doing, and who's not doing well and what they're doing that you shouldn't be doing. Does it help in your mind? Is it helpful to hear other franchise owners in person at the conferences and on the phone on a weekly basis?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does. It's fun to hear the numbers and the revenue that other locations are getting. I'm not necessarily a competitive guy, but so I don't hear those numbers and feel like, oh, I need to do better than them. It's more like I hear those numbers and I realize, okay, this is what's possible. This is the potential. What can I do to make sure that I can get to the level of success that they're getting as well?
Final question for you. For anybody out there who's watching this right now, and they're going, I don't know if I want to fill out the form or not. I don't know. I always tell people, when in doubt, just schedule a free consultation so you can see if it's a good fit for you. But for anybody out there that goes to tiptopcanine.com and they're thinking about, scheduling a free call with Ryan and Rachel or myself what would be your advice to anybody who's thinking about buying a Tip Top Canine? Who should buy one, who shouldn't, or what advice would you have?
Sure. Take the free consultation. It's free, right? And it's definitely worth a look. I'll say that. Like I said, for me, it took me a little bit of convincing because I never saw myself as a business owner, right? All the headaches that go along with it. But the more I understood the support that goes around everything, the more it made it more streamlined for me. It helped support me to help make the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. I had my old desk job. It was good. It was a good job. But now I'm making over 3 times as much as I was at that job, and I actually have freedom. And I can, take trips that I wasn't able to take before. I can have a team I didn't have before, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Would you recommend that others buy a Tip Top Canine now that you're several years into it? Would you recommend it?
Oh, I'd absolutely recommend it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you very much, brother. Thank you so much. It was great to see you there in Tulsa at the annual conference. And again, folks, if you're in the Utah area and you're looking for a dog trainer, Josh Johnson does a phenomenal job. And if you're in Tulsa and you're looking for a pest control company, his brother and his wife do a great job. And I'm honored to work with your brother for years and help him grow his company. And I guess my final question for you. Your brother's worked with me for years, and I don't ever know what he says about the process. All I see is the growth on the tracking sheet.
Sure.
Did he ever talk to you about business coaching and what that's done for him? Or
no, he's loved it. So before, he used to rely on me going out and knocking doors every summer out there in Owasso. I'm pretty sure I've touched every single door in Owasso trying to sell them pest control. But then he met with you, and he hasn't had to rely on me to do that anymore, which is great because it's freed up my time.
Okay. I knew there was a story there. I knew there was a story because I had heard that the marketing system consisted of you knocking on doors before he met us. So your quality of life has gone up quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you so much, brother. Have a great day.
Always a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you.
The number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year. We are Jared and Jennifer Johnson. We own Platinum Pest and Lawn and are located in Owasso, Oklahoma. And we have been working with Thrive for business coaching for almost a year now.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to share some wins with you guys that we've had by working with Thrive. First of all, we're on the top page of Google now. Okay. I just want to let you know what type of accomplishment this is. Our competition, Orkin, Terminex, they're both $1.3 billion companies. They both have 2,000 to 3,000 pages of content attached to their website. So to basically go from virtually non-existent on Google to up on the top page is really saying something. But that's come by being diligent to the systems that Thrive has, by being consistent and diligent on doing podcasts and staying on top of those podcasts to really help with getting up on with their listing and ranking there with Google.
And also we've been trying to get Google reviews, asking our customers for reviews. And now we're the highest rated and most reviewed pest and lawn company in the Tulsa area. And that's really helped with our conversion rate. And the number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year.
Wait, say that again. How much are we up?
411%.
Okay, so 411% we're up with our new customers. Amazing.
Right. So not only do we have more customers calling in, we're able to close those deals at a much higher rate than we were before. Right now, our closing rate is about 85%, and that's largely due to, first of all, like our Google reviews that we've gotten people really see that our customers are happy, but also we have a script that we follow. And so when customers call in, they get all the information that they need. That script has been refined time and time again. It wasn't a one and done deal. It was a system that we followed with Thrive in the refining process, and that has obviously the 411% shows that system works.
Yeah, so here's a big one for you. So last week alone, our booking percentage was 91%. We actually booked more deals, more new customers last year than we did the first 5 months, or I'm sorry, we booked more deals last week than we did the first 5 months of last year from before we worked with Thrive. So again, we booked more deals last week than the first 5 months of last year. And it's incredible. But the reason why we have that success is by implementing the systems that Thrive has taught us and helped us out with. So.
Some of those systems that we've implemented are group interviews. That way we've really been able to come up with a really great team. We've created and implemented checklists. That way everything gets done and it gets done right. It creates accountability. We're able to make sure that everything gets done properly, both out in the field and also in our office. And also doing the podcast, like Jared had mentioned, that has really, really contributed to our success. But that, like I said, the diligence and consistency in doing those and that system has really, really been a big blessing in our lives. And also, it's really shown that we've gotten the success from following those systems.
Yeah. So before working with Thrive, we were basically stuck. Really no new growth with our business. And we were in a rut and we didn't know.
The last 3 years, our customer base had pretty much stayed the same. We weren't shrinking, but we weren't really growing either.
Yeah, and so we didn't really know where to go, what to do, how to get out of this rut that we're in. But Thrive helped us with that. They implemented those systems. They taught us those systems. They taught us the knowledge that we needed in order to succeed. Now it's been a grind. Absolutely, it's been a grind this last year. But we're getting those fruits from that hard work and the diligent effort that we're able to put into it. So again, we were in a rut. Thrive helped us get out of that rut. And if you're thinking about working with Thrive, quit thinking about it and just do it. Do the action, and you'll get the results. It will take hard work and discipline, but that's what it's going to take in order to really succeed. So we just want to give a big shout out to Thrive, a big thank you out there to Thrive. We wouldn't be where we're at now without their help.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See, it's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood.
This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot-coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.